It's always good, and I love to look back on the headlines of the week and try to consider at least as much as we can from a biblical worldview perspective. And joining me now to do that again is David Closson. He's the director here at the Center for Biblical Worldview at the Family Research Council. He's also author of the recently released book, Life After Roe, Equipping Christians in the Fight for Life Today. David, thank you again for joining us. A lot to cover.
That's right. Happy Friday. Great to be with you again, Jody.
Well, thank you so much. Okay, let me start with this because this just, FRC has been so heavily involved in this. Our Government Affairs Division and so many others recent weeks have been so heavily involved in trying to help gain momentum to defund Planned Parenthood in the big, beautiful bill, which passed the House. It's amazing how this got through. So tell us, David, let's start with this issue. How should Christians think about this news? And what do you think is next for it as this bill moves forward now to the Senate?
Yeah, Jody, I think Christians across the country should be actually very encouraged. You know, this big, beautiful bill, as the president likes to put it, does a lot of what the president campaigned on, making those 2017 tax cuts permanent. No taxes on tips or overtime pay, funding the border wall. So, these are all things that the president and congressional Republicans campaigned on. And so, and that just take that by itself. That's encouraging that folks are trying to do what they campaigned on. But specifically for Christians, defunding big abortion, defunding Planned Parenthood, this is something, again, that Republicans have run on campaign cycle after campaign cycle. And for whatever reason, it hasn't been done. But you and I have talked about, this is the best chance in the last 10 years for this to happen. And as of now, this bill that passed the House did indeed, remove that funding. It's just remarkable, Jody, that Planned Parenthood received almost $800 million. And of course, Planned Parenthood is going to be quick to say that none of that money is used to do abortion. But of course, we all know that money is fungible. And so, again, I think as Christians, we should be really excited. By the way, Planned Parenthood's annual report just came out, and in the last year, they did 402,000 abortions. Again, as Christians, we are the people that believe all people, born and unborn, are made in God's image, have inherent value and dignity. And so, again, I think as Christians, we should be thrilled and be praying that when this bill is taken up by the Senate, that these hard-fought provisions in the House version are going to be seen in the final text of the bill.
Yeah, I think it's going to be extremely hard to pass in the House if the Senate brings it back without that. But we'll see. And it's not just Planned Parenthood. It's abortion providers from that perspective. But then there's more than the abortion side of defunding. There's the transgender surgeries as well. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is encouraging, Jody. And so there is a provision that prohibits kind of affordable Care Act, so think Obamacare health plans, from covering not just abortion, but the so-called gender-affirming care. So think surgeries, think hormone treatments, specifically through Medicaid. And I think I read somewhere earlier, it was a White House official said that it's upwards of 25% of so-called gender-affirming care comes through Medicaid. And again, as Christians, we want to think primarily as biblically minded Christians, we know that it's important to stand for truth. We know that God created humanity, male and female. This created order is not arbitrary. It's a reflection of God's good design, and we want our laws to be in coherence with the truth. And, just thinking on a practical level, we know that folks who undergo these treatments, many of them later experience deep regret. The promises of these surgeries and treatments are often overstated. They're often contradicted, honestly, by long-term studies. And so I think it's just very good to see the bill drawing a line that government should not be in the business of subsidizing treatments that are physically damaging and spiritually misleading.
Absolutely. It's interesting to me, David, too, that these two major subjects are also subjects right here within the roof of FRC. We have people who have written books that have been recently released, yours being one on abortion, life after Roe. And then we have Dr. Jennifer Bowens and Walt Heyer, who just released their book this week dealing with the transgender issue. And all these things make a difference. It is a voice going out, a voice of truth, of biblical truth going into the public square. And again, I just say thank you. And if they were on with us, I would thank them as well for incredible work that's leading the way on so many fronts here, coming out of FRC and right into the public square. And we're deeply grateful. If I can, David, let's stay within the neighborhood, if I can put it that way, D.C. Well, I think we were all rocked just a couple of days ago as tragedy struck right here in D.C., the murder of 2 Israeli embassy workers. It appears that the attack was motivated by an anti-Semitic radical. We've had these discussions before, David, but let's jump on it again. How do Christians need to be thinking about anti-Semitism?
Yeah, we need to be as Christians, we need to be the clearest voice in the room to say that anti-Semitism is pure evil, full stop. This is absolutely wicked. And you're right, Jody, this kind of hatred runs deep, whether it is Pharaoh ordering the killing of Jewish boys, whether it's Haman plotting a genocide, whether it's Hitler and the Holocaust. The Jewish people have been targeted again and again. And this is an alarming trend. You go back to October the 7th with the Hamas terrorist attack. And it's not just this incident here in D.C., though. I'm thinking when Benjamin Netanyahu came last summer, July 24th, to give a speech to Congress to kind of bring the United States up to date on what they were doing to push back against Hamas. If you remember this, Jody, 21 Democrat senators boycotted that speech. 71 Democrat congressmen and women boycotted that speech, and you had thousands of protesters. The American flag was torn down at Union Station. Jody, I actually left the building here at FRC and went down to observe some of those protests, and it was some of the most heinous evil I think I can ever recall seeing, hearing those people cheer, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And evidently, the witnesses of the attack we're talking about, this alleged gunman, that's exactly what he was cheering and chanting. And so this is evil. This is wicked. Christians ought to be the first people to stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters and to affirm their dignity and to say that anti-Semitism has no room and no home. It shouldn't in this country.
And I'm glad you went back to some of the history of it. I mean, this goes way back, ancient hatred. It goes back, as you just referenced, a couple of different biblical examples, and it's been ever since then, all the way up to the present. And we've got to take a stand on this. David, if I can, I know our clock is ticking away, but another big issue happened this week here in D.C. At the Supreme Court and the decision on the case that originated out of Kansas. It was a 4-4 tie. Justice Amy Coney Barrett recused herself. And as a result, the lower court decision stands, and this is involving a Catholic church charter school. So this would have been the first religious, as I understand it, charter school in the country. But the court's decision now says the lower court decision stands, which says they cannot receive public funding. Talk to us about this.
Yeah, Jody, I think you summarized it very well. This would have been, so again, they're in the state of Kansas, a proposed Catholic virtual charter school. It would have been the first publicly funded religious charter school in the nation. My understanding is that Justice Barrett had some connections with some of the lawyers representing this school, so that's why she recused herself. But what that means is that the state Supreme Court, their decision stands. And so I think it's worth noting that the court did not rule on the merits. It's very likely that this question will present itself again, and hopefully Amy Coney Barrett would be that deciding fifth vote in favor. So I think it's worth noting this decision did not set a national precedent, but I think it does highlight these unresolved tensions that we see between religious liberty and the public university system and how education is funded. There's been several cases in recent years, and I think we've all actually been pretty encouraged that most of these cases have gone on this. The justices, a majority of them at least, have sided with conservative religious parents or folks that kind of have that perspective. The court has other opportunities this term to weigh in on some really important religious liberty issues. Think about the issue related from Tennessee, the religious parents of Montgomery County. Those are, of course, different issues. But I do think it'll be only a matter of time, Jody, before this particular question, because, again, this really is about viewpoint discrimination, in my view. Why can religious institutions be the only group that can't charter a public school? That doesn't seem like it's fair. And so my expectation is that the court will revisit this sometime in the near future.
Well, you're not the only one who feels that way, but very, very interesting. David, we've only got a couple of minutes. And as we close, I've just learned something that I was not aware of previously, but you have actually introduced a resolution for the Southern Baptist Convention on chemical abortion. Can you tell us about your resolution and what you're hoping to do with it? I understand the convention, Southern Baptist, is going to be taking place here in just a couple of weeks. So tell us about this.
Yeah, Jody, I'm really excited. I submitted a resolution titled On the Medical Dangers and Moral Evils of Chemical Abortion. We know that over 60% of abortions that take place in this country are these chemical abortion pills. This 2-pill regimen that was initially approved 25 years ago in the outgoing months of the Clinton administration. And I think it's important for us to say that even though Roe has been overturned, and we're all so grateful for this, these pills are being shipped all over the country, even states that have strong pro-life laws. Because, frankly, the Comstock Act isn't being enforced, you can have liberal abortion doctors in California or Illinois and New York and mail these pills across state lines, even into states that have pro-life bills. And so, yeah, every year the Southern Baptist Convention meets for its annual meeting, and it'll pass anywhere from 6 to 10 resolutions. And a resolution is simply kind of an official statement that expresses kind of the collective opinion or conviction of the messengers. That's what, if you go representing your church, you're called a messenger. So most of them are pastors, but lay people as well. And these resolutions speak to issues of theological, moral, cultural, or political concern. They're non-binding, but they are important. They do guide the Southern Baptist Convention's public engagement. They inform denominational leaders. They're pedagogical in the sense that they help pastors and leaders think through these issues. And so my hope is when you submit a resolution, it goes to the Resolutions Committee, and they decide what the committee will actually vote on. So again, the Southern Baptist Convention has voted on a lot of pro-life resolutions over the years, but the largest Protestant denomination has never voted specifically on a resolution that deals solely with chemical abortion. And this is in the news, Jody. We know that RFK Jr. has indicated that the FDA is going to kind of go back and review the original approval of this. And so my hope is that we'll have an opportunity in a couple of weeks in Dallas to speak very clearly, and Lord willing, be even an encouragement to the administration that this is the right thing to do.
That's fantastic. Are you going to be a messenger, by the way? Will you be there?
I will be there representing my church.
Good. Outstanding. Thank you so much, David Closson. Always, always an honor to have you here to give us a biblical worldview perspective. And of course, David Closson is the director of our Center for Biblical Worldview here at the Family Research Council. Hope you have a fantastic weekend.